Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. Today we have a news story out of the city of Boston where candidate for mayor Josh Kraft has officially ended his campaign for mayor. Now this is also a surprising story and also kind of not really surprising story at the same time. So if you're unfamiliar with this race, the philanthropist Josh Kraft was challenging Democratic incumbent mayor Michelle Wu to be the mayor of Boston. And on Tuesday, there was a preliminary election in Boston for the top two candidates in the race to advance to the general election. Now, in that race, it was widely speculated that Michelle Wu and Josh Kraft would ultimately end up advancing to the general, and that is exactly what happened. However, the margins of which it happened were very, very massive in Michelle Wu's favor. And just to show you here in the Boston mayoral race, we do have, I believe, the results of how it ended up going. And it showed that Michelle Wu got 71.84% of the vote, Josh Kraft 23.07%. So, in a few days before this, you may remember I did a video from Emerson College of a poll of this race, and it showed Michelle Wu at 72%, Josh Kraft 22%. So the Emerson poll exactly got the margin of the preliminary election of Michelle Wu versus Josh Kraft. It got it exactly right. So got to give Emerson their props on that one. They nailed the results of this race. So obviously, and I talked about this in the video as well, that the chances of Josh Kraft defeating Michelle Wu in the general election were zero. There was no chance Josh Kraft was going to defeat Michelle Wu. Even early on in this race, it didn't really look like there was much of a chance of that happening, but the preliminary election just made it crystal clear there was no chance Josh Kraft was going to defeat Michelle Wu. But still, Kraft ran through the preliminary election and let that all play out. But now an article from WCVB, the local news station in Boston, philanthropist Josh Kraft, the son of New England Patriots owner Robert Kraft, is officially ending his mayor campaign. And it was following the blistering defeat in the Boston's preliminary election. He said, "My decision is to suspend my campaign, my candidacy for mayor as of today, and I appreciate you letting me announce it here tonight," Kraft said in an exclusive interview with the News Center's anchor Maria Stefanos. He said, "The last couple of days since Tuesday, I've sat and listened to my team, our volunteers, my family, my friends, advisors, and it goes back to what I was saying at the beginning. I got into this to make an impact, as I've done my whole life. Building a sense of community to make change for the greater good," Kraft said. "When I kept looking at the next 8 weeks, the negativity and all that it was going to be about, I realized, wow, I can do more. I can make a better impact for residents of the city of Boston." Mayor Michelle Wu, the incumbent, entered the preliminary election with a massive lead in the polls and led the election result on Tuesday by a margin of 49% over Kraft, again, as I just mentioned. In a statement, Wu responded to Kraft's withdrawal. "I respect Josh's decision and thank him for caring about our city deeply enough to want to make it better," Wu wrote. "We are going to continue over the next 2 months and beyond to keep engaging our community members about the critical work in front of us and how we keep making Boston a safe, welcoming home for everyone." As the top two finishers, Wu and Kraft were in a position to advance to the general election in November. Community advocate Domingos De Rosa and former police officer Robert Capucci were eliminated from the contention by the results. Kraft, who has never held public office before, entered the race in February. He led his family's philanthropic efforts, serves on several boards, and spent 30 years with the Boys and Girls Clubs of Boston. While both Kraft and Wu are Democrats, he campaigned largely on criticism of the current administration. He attempted to position himself as someone who would listen and learn from the people, but never gained enough traction to challenge the popular incumbent with national notoriety. Kraft said he would divert his attention and $3 million to organizations focused on the crisis in the neighborhood known as Mass and Cass. He said, "What I'll be doing is the money that I would have needed to get through the next 8 weeks of mudslinging is take that money and some more money and work with the Gavin Foundation and the Phoenix to fight to take those first steps to find a real solution to the human tragedy and public safety crisis of Mass and Cass, as well to re-energize a similar program, Operation Exit, which helps people coming home from incarceration not just find jobs, but find careers," Kraft said during the interview. Boston voters have not ousted an incumbent mayor since John Hines defeated James Michael Curley in 1949. Following Curley's prison sentence, Hines previously served as a, quote, temporary mayor for 5 months while Curley was in federal prison, according to the city archives. Kraft split from his top campaign advisors less than 1 week before the preliminary election. At the time, Kraft's campaign also confirmed he was pouring $3.5 million of his own funding into the fight, bringing his total investment to more than $5 million. Now, for Michelle Wu, who's the city of Boston's first Asian and female leader, has been bolstered in part by her defense of the city against attacks from the President Trump and the Trump administration. Members of his administration, often led by Trump's border czar Tom Homan, have accused the city of Boston of not doing enough to crack down on illegal immigration and threatened to do a surge in arrests. Federal immigration officials are currently conducting an enforcement surge in the region, and the Department of Justice launched a lawsuit against the city and the mayor last week. So this news is obviously very significant, as this does essentially end the 2025 mayoral race in Boston. Now, I do believe the way this works, and if anyone knows more about this, you can leave a comment below telling me for sure if I get anything wrong here. But now that Kraft has dropped out of the race, I do believe, unless his name can get removed from the ballot now that the election has happened, Josh Kraft's name will remain on the ballot for November. But with him suspending his campaign, the odds of him getting any significant amount of vote is going to be very, very low. Any people that go to vote for the mayoral election in Boston in 2025 may vote in Josh Kraft if they don't want to vote for Michelle Wu, as kind of like a anti-Wu sentiment. But now that Kraft has suspended his campaign, this race is over. Michelle Wu is going to be reelected as mayor of Boston, and it's not really any surprise here. When you look at the preliminary vote for the city of Boston and how it voted, there was not one part of Boston that voted for Josh Kraft. Every single area of the city of Boston voted for Michelle Wu over Kraft. So it became very clear here, and like why Josh Kraft dropped out. Not only did Josh Kraft not have any chance at winning this race against Michelle Wu, he didn't have any chance at making it even remotely close or competitive. At this point, the best he could probably do would probably have been losing this race like 65-35. And I don't even think that was even possible based on how this preliminary election ended up going. So when we see everything said and done here, it's not really too shocking why. That Emerson poll again showed Wu leading 73-22. Josh Kraft officially withdraws from this race. Though the ballot still has Michelle Wu, Josh Kraft, and a write-in option, we're going to see Michelle Wu be elected as mayor of Boston. Now, I wanted to update you on this because it's a very significant development in this race. This will also likely be the last race I do, or video I do on the 2025 Boston mayoral race. Now that this race is essentially over, Michelle Wu is going to win, be reelected as mayor, and that's pretty much where it all ends on that one. But this is very significant. It's interesting that Josh Kraft was not able to catch as much traction in this race as he probably thought, being the son of owner of the Patriots, Robert Kraft. He was not able to really catch any significant traction in this race, and Michelle Wu really showed a very strong ability at holding on to this race and having such a massive lead in the polls as she did throughout really this entire cycle. So that was also certainly very significant. The early polling that was done on the primary side of things showed Michelle Wu with a very large lead over Josh Kraft, but the Emerson poll at the end really was a big awakening just how much support Michelle Wu ended up having in this race. So definitely a lot of props given to Wu and her campaign and how well they consolidated support for the eventual primary preliminary election in this race. So that's the bottom line for this video. Michelle Wu is going to be reelected as mayor of Boston. Josh Kraft suspends his campaign. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to like and subscribe. If you did, leave a comment below telling me your thoughts and any other video ideas you would like to see me do. Again, also please remember to hit like and subscribe as I post multiple videos every day that you're not going to want to miss. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in a future video.